Well, hello, my second video in one day. After I built the IS-3, I decided, well, let's try to build a plane. So I went and looked and tried to see what I could find, and I have a lot of them, but I decided to go with this. A Macchi MC202 Folgore, which I believe it means thunderbolt. I know Veltro is lightning. Let me show you the actual plane. And I deeply enjoyed this. It was a very good build and very pleased with it. There we go. And easier to show you because it's a smaller plane to deal with and stuff. 1/32nd scale with retractable landing gear and a working tail wheel. What this plane is, and I'm gonna go and give you some technical specs, but I have built one of these in 1/72nd scale. Might have been an Airfix or an Italiere years ago. I have two 1/32nd scale. Um, they're plastic. They call them die-cast collectible, but they're not. From 20th century toys. I'll do a video on those because you can see how well these Cobi kits are. I'll have this one up with the one that's identical that I have. It's supposedly a collectible, whatever. That one's downstairs collecting dust, but I will do a video. I love these planes, and I love them for one reason. Like the Spitfire that the British had, that during World War II flew very well for them, based off a seaplane racing plane. In the 1920s and early 30s, they had seaplane races, speed races off the coast of France. And Supermarine, Macchi, this company all made racing planes. Well, the Spitfire, everybody knows a lot about. It's a iconic fighter plane and stuff. And this plane people don't really know about. I know about this because I read a book about the races, and like I said, I've built this before. There was an engineer named Mario Castaldi for Macchi, and he designed the seaplanes. Well, they wanted him to just design a fighter plane, as the 1940s were kind of approaching. It was the late 1930s, and he had a plane called the Sierra, which is basically this plane with a radial engine and an open cockpit. Good plane, highly maneuverable, but that's about it. I mean, it was kind of limited by its engine and limited by aerodynamics, um, um, how aerodynamic it was based upon having a radial engine. Under World War II and under the licensed production of Daimler Benz engines by Alfa Romeo. So Alfa Romeo, and I believe they were the one that did this. Yes, Alfa Romeo took that engine and built it under license, but they did tweak it a bit, as Italians like to do. Italian stuff, cars and stuff, people make fun of them are very good. The problem is they're over engineered, and for basic day to day kind of stuff, they're too much because of the amount of engineering. They engineered it a little bit to perform a little bit better to their specs, but I mean, it was good enough for it's dependable to go out and do what you need to do with it. Well, the basic version of this, the one that radial engine one with the open cockpit, and I'm not going to pull. Yeah, I'll leave it off. With top speed of about 300 and some miles an hour. You put this engine, which is basically the Daimler Benz DB601. It's like 1,100 horsepower. Hang on, 1,159 horsepower. Increases the speed from 303 to 373 miles an hour, and an increased ceiling. I believe the ceiling on this thing was like almost 40,000 feet. I think 37,000 feet. So you had a plane that could perform at multi levels. This plane was an extremely maneuverable plane with the radial engine. Adding this engine, this is an extremely deadly plane. This plane was able to go and shoot down Spitfires, Curtiss P-40s, P-38 Lightnings, which could go a little faster because of the maneuverability. The addition of this engine made this a very deadly and very stable plane. German pilots like to fly it. In fact, when the Italians captured Benito Mussolini and they more or less surrendered and became the co-belligerents of U.S. and Britain, these planes are flown by Italian pilots, and the Italian Air Force and by pilots in the Luftwaffe because they're such great planes. And the Bulgarians flew it. And these planes flew in Russia. These planes were extremely deadly in Russia. The reason they were so deadly is because most of the combat took place under um, 10,000 feet. This plane was just viciously brutal low down. It had speed for high up because it had a good supercharger that can get it up to speed, and it did well. But at low altitude, this thing was a screamer because it had speed and very tight maneuverability. And I guess the Soviet pilots avoided combat with the Macchi, the Thunderbolt. That's what this was called. I think that's what Folgore, I think, means Thunderbolt. I know this one's a Thunderbolt and the other one's a Lightning, the Veltro. But we'll get into that one later. But this thing did very well. And it's a very stable plane. I mean, mechanically, it had really nice landing gear, wide space landing gear, unlike the ME 109 and the Spitfire that had the really like in the middle landing gear. Very stable to land. Good, strong fighter plane. And it wasn't armed too bad. It could have either two 30 caliber and two 50 caliber. We'll go how they had them that were in millimeters. I'm going to do the armament that's based off the one that I have downstairs. The one I have downstairs has four 12.7 millimeter machine guns. Two of them are right here in the cowling shooting through the propeller arc, and two are in the wings. And it would be that one. And sorry about that. This is crazy. That one. This one, the second one, the two closest green spots where you see the lines, those were the other machine guns. So it had two machine guns in the wings, two above the cowling, and a 20 millimeter cannon right there in the nose. So they said these were lightly armed. The same armament as an early P-51 Mustang, except two of the machine guns were firing through the propeller arc, synchronization gear. But it had a 20 millimeter cannon in the nose. It could like blast you into smithereens. Initially, they only had two 7.7s and two 12.7s. Like this is armament's a little bit different. It has a cannon in it, and it has four 12.7 millimeter machine guns. And this thing, the speed is 373 to like 380 miles an hour. I'm going also from information I had in this book that I had that gave a little bit more technical things about speed, altitude, and such. And it was a really good plane. And let me see how it served in 1951 because I guess they used it. The Italian Air Force used it as a kind of like show off the colors kind of thing in the early days after the war. And this was their primary fighter plane, and because they switched sides and came to the Allied side, and when they were a NATO country back then, they were using these, and you see these things fly around. Very nice plane. Like I said, it was the actual engineering of the plane minus the engine that Mario Castaldi achieved with this. Beautiful plane. Very aerodynamic, very well thought out design. And when they added the DB601 engine to it, made it into a screamer and basically a frontline fighter that could take on other frontline fighters. It served in North Africa also. It served in Sicily and Italy, defending Italy when Sicily and then later Italy was invaded. And when Italy jumped and joined the Allied side, it served on both the Italian Air Force side and also on the Luftwaffe side, as I said before. If you look, as they'll say, it's a plane of the Regia Aeronautica, which is Royal Air Force, Royal Italian Air Force. That's all that moniker meant. And like I said, it was a very pleasurable build. A lot of small parts that became big parts, but very extremely pleasurable. And another thing I want to compliment, these stands. They secure a little bit better, and they stay very stable. I have this basically on a shelf behind me now that I'm trying to arrange into something nice, and maybe I'll have a video about that when I have that done. But otherwise, you're looking at like I said, a classic World War II plane, frontline fighter of the Italian Air Force, flying against the Allies and then with them against itself, I guess, when Italy switched sides after Mussolini was taken down and wound up going to north of Italy, running a puppet state for Germany. But that's all I have with this one. I have some other stuff that I'm going to show. The next video, though, since I mentioned it, will be the model of this Macchi fighter plane that I have that was just an actual standalone thing. And I'll do that over the weekend. But let me give you a look at the box again. I think I paid $43 for this one. This one I bought online. And that's another reason I didn't want to spend a lot, because these could become pricey. If you start building these and enjoying them, you'll enjoy them too much or you'll spend too much money, which is not a thing. And I don't want to encourage or get anybody mad, say, hey, you coerced me into doing this. But I do like the hobby. I do want to show you the pilot. The pilot is kind of cool looking. Let me get him out of here so I don't damage the plane. And voila. There he is. These guys have character. They kind of look dorky, some people say, but I like Cobi's interpretations and stuff. Not bad. So that's all I have with this. I will have more coming, like I said, and hopefully you enjoyed this one, and see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and please watch them and like them, and I'll make more of them for you.